Mayor, I'm going to turn those mics and speakers on.
Everybody's got their mics on, please. And if you would mute your cell phones, please. And we will call this meeting to order. What do I do next, Barry?
I dropped in.
Oh, right here. At this time, so we've got we've got a few special guests today, but one in particular is Dr. Lee King. And I asked Dr. King to come to our council meeting today and speak very, very briefly and introduce himself and tell us a little bit about Lees McRae. I graduated from Lees McRae, and I've always been passionate about what the college has to offer. And since Dr. King has come to Lees McRae, they're probably in the best financial health that they've ever been. They're operating in the black. They've got so many different more programs today than they had 10, 12, 15 years ago that cater to the outdoor industry. And one thing that I want to accomplish is that I don't know what the disconnect is, and I'm not saying there is a disconnect, but I think with what Lees McRae has to offer and between the town and the resort, and there's a good relationship between them and the resort, but they can do more, and the club. And we occasionally, we meet once a quarter or however often, and we just do some brainstorming. What's going on at Lees McRae? What's going on at Beach Mountain? And maybe look at some intern programs and just see where this thing will go. But, until we start some dialogue, nothing's going to happen. And I think having the resources that we do in our back door, and the same with Lees McRae with their ski and snowboard program. And for those that don't know, Lees McRae for the past 8 to 10 years has been either #1 in the nation, and it's not recognized as a varsity sport. That's one thing that I like to see, is it recognized as a varsity sport, and the college does more recruiting with the northeastern high schools, and we bring some folks down. But at this time, I'd like to welcome Dr. Lee King.
Thank you very much.
Mayor Abernathy, thank you for the invitation to be here. I know I don't dress today like a typical college president. We were expecting, obviously, heavy rains, and we've had some flooding going on campus today, so I wore the blue jeans and hiking boots. But thank you for the opportunity to be here and talk to the Beach Mountain Town Council, and I want to thank this community for everything that it does to support the college, both directly and indirectly. A few very brief updates of what's happening at the college, and I echo Mayor Abernathy's call that I want you to know that the college is a willing partner to do whatever we can to ensure the health and vitality of the community, whether it is through economic development, which we already do a very large amount with. Lees McRae has a $100 million economic impact in the high country between our salary base, the student base that comes in. Our students come from 36 states, 23 foreign countries are represented in our campus community right now. So more that we can do together working with economic development, what more that we can work together with tourism. We're about to start a new academic program in tourism and resort management. We have a wonderful, fantastic program at Beach Mountain Resort on the ski industry business. And then the college is really seriously owning its distinctiveness as an institution. We have academic programs that have no peers around the country, and it's one of the reasons that the college is thriving in the way that it is. Two quick updates of things that are happening on campus right now. I encourage you to come by and see. We are doing a $35 million renovation and expansion project of our most historic buildings on campus. They'll be completed in May. That was funded by the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Rural Development Program. They give low interest loans to infrastructure projects that have an economic impact in rural areas. I'm happy, and in today's interest rate environment, I'm happy to always tell people we have that financed with USDA at 2 1/8%. It's the lowest interest rate loan that USDA has ever done in the nation, and that impact is making a big difference on our campus. The acquisition of our South Campus property, when we acquired the Grandfather Home for Children, we're fully occupying that property. We have 169 of our students there, and the ability of the college to protect that property and make sure that it's not developed, but that it's able to be used for conservation. We're looking at conservation easements on that property to keep that property as pristine as it possibly can, while also serving the long-term future needs of the institution. I'm grateful. Bob and I have had a good relationship. We want to work with you in any ways that we can on workforce housing economic development. Just know that Lees McCray down at the bottom of the hill is a strong partner. We're a vital asset to this community, and we want to do everything that we can to ensure continued strong relationships, which we already have with Beech Mountain, Watauga, and Avery County together. So, Mr. Mayor, thank you for the invitation. Thank you all for letting me talk about something that's very passionate to my heart, which is that beautiful college down at the bottom of the mountain. Lees McCray's thriving. I think you can be very proud of the work that we're doing. Higher education is a tough business to stay, but Lees McCray is bucking the trend, and we're not like everybody else. Thank you so much.
Okay, very good.
Take care.
Thank you, Dr. King. I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion?
Second. Any discussion? Vote?
Aye.
Okay. Who do we have for the invocation?
Chief Barnett.
Chief Barnett, invocation?
Cyclone Brett is enjoying his 90th birthday in Florida today. He sends his regrets that he couldn't be here today for a history lesson and an invocation. So I asked Chief Barnett to lead us in an invocation. Chief.
Mayor, Council, thank you.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
bow our heads. Our most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you, Jesus, once again for this day. Thank you, Lord, for another opportunity, Father, on this side of life. God, we pray, Father, that you just be in the midst of this meeting, dear Father, and pray, Lord, that you'd bless the council, dear Lord, that God, that we'd just lead the town, Father, in the direction you'd have us to go, in the best interest of the town, dear Jesus. God, we pray, Father, you bless all these that's out in the storm. Pray, Lord, you just give them safety, dear Lord. Continue, Lord, just to bless the council, the community, and those that work here. We ask all this in thy sweet and holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Chief. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance. So the next item is public comment, and I want to read this. We don't have anyone today that signed up for public comment, but for those that are watching this video, public comment is a time for the public to address their elected officials on issues not on the agenda. The town council is interested in hearing your concerns. However, speakers should not expect council action or deliberation on items brought forth during the public comment period. Topics requiring further investigation and action will be referred to the town manager and may be rescheduled for a future agenda. So there's no one that's speaking today for public comment. The next item is plaques being presented to our former Mayor Kaufman and former Vice Mayor Jimmy Accardi. And Chief asked me to speak individually on these guys, and I could probably say a lot of kind of things about Jimmy, and I didn't know what to say about Barry, so I was a little stumped. And but you know, and I thought about this, and I thought about, you know, what can we say, and you know, rather than saying this person did this and Jimmy did this and Barry did this, you know, this has been a collectively team effort for the past 4 years that they've been on council. You know, I thought we've done very well being able to agree to disagree, and the council, we work very well together. I look at the accomplishments that we have achieved during your tenure with the $14 million, which was very significant financial impact to the town, which will be contributed to Lake Coffee. I look at our infrastructure that we have built and we continue to build, and the paving of Buckeye Creek Road. We put the sign there a couple months ago. There's been a lot of progress that we've made in the past 4 years, and I appreciate everything that you guys have done. As we all know, it's a thankless job, and I hope that you won't be strangers moving forward. So at this time, for Mayor Kaufman, in recognition of and grateful appreciation to Barry Kaufman, your devotion to the town of Beech Mountain and dedication and service to the citizens of Beech Mountain. Mr. Barry Cochran.
Thank you.
Do you, Barry, anything you want to say? Anything you want to say? And Jimmy, same thing, in recognition of grateful appreciation for your service, your devotion to the town of Beech Mountain, your dedication to the citizens of Beech Mountain. Yes, sir.
You took that from the waste of it.
That's his trademark.
I just got that. That's funny. I know you guys probably don't want to sit here during this meeting, so Jimmy, if you need to go back to work.
We want to watch you,
Okay.
don't stutter.
The item 7, consent agenda. Now, again, with the consent agenda, if there's any items that you guys want to take off, we can take off the item and we move it to new business. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Vote?
Aye.
Very good. Consent agenda is passed. New business, item 8.1. I need a motion
I
to,
have a question on that.
on what?
On the drone purchase, wasn't the original price $18,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and how did that change? We
The-
got good luck, I'm assuming, but.
Well, no, the elected officials at that time felt that that was too expensive and asked us to go back. I asked Chief Barnett to go back and take some components off of that drone. This
Okay.
is the same drone with fewer options to reduce the price.
Okay, and that's property of police department or town of Beech Mountain? Okay.
Town's property.
Okay,
Yep,
so
it'll
it'll
be housed-
be used across departments, not just
We
police
plan to use
department?
it, police and fire, it's an emergency service drone.
Okay.
It's a higher level specialty piece of equipment. And it'll be housed in the police department, but it will be used by both departments.
Gotcha, okay.
And
So,
you're good.
I think we had to have a motion to open it, and then a second, and then we jumped to discussion. Is that, we need-
Yes, sir. On the smaller board under Robert's rules, you can have discussion before you call for
Okay.
a motion. If you wanted to be technical about it, usually it's a motion and a second, but that's reserved for larger boards. So you can do it either way. So discussion first is appropriate. It's, as the presiding officer, it's your call whether that's out of order.
you messed me up. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to open the public safety drone.
Motion to approve.
Okay, second? Second. All right, discussion?
Chief, in the comments that I read, it was to be used for the ski loft project. What's the intention there?
The primary mission, immediate mission, is for public safety of the ski loft project. During the ski loft project, where you're aware, we're vacating the neighborhood for 180 days. And there were issues with property insurance, with abandonment, and insurance companies not wanting to insure the properties that were abandoned. So we were asked to put together a public safety plan, which we did, that addresses both police, security, fire protection. That was produced and then distributed to the property owners, who then distributed to their insurance companies, who accepted that plan.
And this is part of that plan.
One of the pieces of that plan was a daily surveillance by drone by the police department, because there won't be great access or any access during some periods of construction, and the town agreed to make that as part of the public safety plan.
Does it have infrared?
It does.
Thank you.
And we would use that in like a search and rescue
where we're trying to find an individual lost on a trail or other opportunities to use that technology?
Going forward, the primary mission, the immediate mission is for ski loft. Going forward, and I've articulated it in the council packet, the public safety portion is a number of uses, both police and fire. Fire would be correct, we would use it to surveil the wilderness areas for lost hikers, which, as you know, we've been out there looking for people. Police department would use this for surveillance, crime scene, searching for lost people as well. We would use it for brush fires and things like that. There's multiple uses in the public safety field.
And I think Chief covered this, but just, I want to reemphasize from the safety standpoint for our law enforcement, that if there's a person of interest, they know where their location is, and they're able to, you know, since this is such a wooded area, that they're able to do some prior surveillance to see if they see anyone in the woods or any suspicious activity. And I think this is going to, you know, it'll be worth the money that we're going to invest in this.
And the training that was included in the price of what's here in the package? When
Yes,
you put
actually-
5 employees,
Those, they have been trained and
Okay.
have been certified by the FAA to fly. We're legal to fly a drone.
Okay.
That is not included in this piece. Those employees, 3 in the police department, 2 in the fire department, have completed that training.
okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Need a vote, please? All in favor?
I'll make
Aye.
a motion.
Same sign? Okay, passes. Item 8.2, new business. Need a motion to, for the appointments of our boards and committees.
Motion.
Second?
And, Mr. Mayor, you don't necessarily have to have a motion to open the discussion on it. You can call for discussion, but the motion will be on the vote for whom you wish to appoint.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Planning board.
Yeah, at this time, I'd like to make a motion that the board consider Dean Roberts for reinstatement in his present position on the planning board.
Motion.
Second.
Vote?
Aye.
In addition, we also like to, I'd like to make a motion for George Paddock to also be retained on the planning board in his present position.
Motion.
Second.
Vote?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign?
And in addition, I would like to nominate Tyler Hunter to be a new addition to the planning board.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Okay. Board of Adjustments.
Did they get all 3 vacancies on planning?
Hmm?
Did I miss one on planning?
There's 3 on planning.
Okay, good deal. Board of Adjustment, I'd like to nominate Pete Chamberlain as the first alternate.
Motion.
Second.
Vote?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign?
I'd like to nominate Robert McMichael as the second alternate.
Motion.
Second.
Vote?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Passed?
Fred Harris is our third alternate.
Motion.
Second.
Vote?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign?
Active.
And then
Passed.
to fill the what would be the vacancy for the non-alternate position would be Michael Armand.
Motion.
Second.
Vote?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Okay. TDA.
I'd like a motion to nominate Don Daglish.
Motion.
Second.
Vote.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Now I'd like to make another motion to nominate Fred Fall.
Motion?
Second.
Vote.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Very good.
That's it, isn't it?
It is.
Thank you for those who wish
Yep.
to serve.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you for those serving.
At this time, our,
Fred, what are you, nuts?
We have a tree.
Yeah, they don't. Do you want to pass on the tree board at, they're not meeting, or do you want to make appointments now?
Man, I think we're prepared.
we're prepared for the tree board.
Might as well.
I believe there are two vacancies. One would be a full term and one would be to fill a term through December of '26.
I talked with Jane Miller. She's willing to serve again, so I nominate Jane Miller.
Motion?
Second?
Vote.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I also submitted a application for Miss Frances Edwards, who lives here on the mountain. She's willing to serve on the tree board.
Motion?
Second.
Vote.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Mr. Mayor, for the purpose of the minutes, which individual would fill the full position that's available now and which would be filling till December of '26?
I think Michael said Jane Miller.
Is there not two? Because I think
There were two. One's a shorter
Oh,
term.
so it's December 26th, Francis, and then
Thank you.
Jane would be the full, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Did you get that, Ellen?
Very good. Chief or Ford, did we miss anything? You ready to move to item
That
9?
fills your vacancies. Yes, sir. I believe that takes care of your vacancies.
Okay, very good. This time we'll turn it over to our town manager for staff reports.
If you'll go to page 60, 61, and 62 in your agenda, you'll see the finance officer's report through November 30th. Just wanted to point out that we're at 41.67 benchmark, that's percent of the year through the budget. And you notice that all three funds are well under their expenditures. General fund is at 7.3% below. Water and sewer is 3.6% below, and our sanitation is 3% below. If you look at page 63, which is his final page of his report, it begins to show you the fund balance going up. That's a direct result of taxes coming in November. So don't get excited when you go to budget and you look at, you say, well, look at all that fund balance. We bring the money in November, December, January, and then that balances out through the year. Any questions on the financial report? I've got several items on our general obligation bond. Our finance director, Steve Smith, participated in the LGC meeting today at 1:30, where they gave final approval of the GO bond process. It's now fully approved, and it's before you, the town council, to decide when and if and how much, if you wish to access that GO bond. You have 7 years from today to make that decision as we move forward, and you can take none, you can take all of it, or you can take portions of it as we go forward. So as we go through the Lake Coffee process, we'll bring those funding mechanisms to you, and you'll have that ability to make those decisions going forward. But it's fully approved. The state gave their final approval today. Our Pinnacle Ridge well site is ready for testing and state permitting. That's coming along. We're waiting for final connection of the Mountain Electric, but the well is complete, and we should have it online as soon as we get the state tested, the state permitted, and the water tested. Our Lake Coffee project, the final geotech survey came in. It's quite an extensive report, several hundred pages. The bad news is there's a lot of rock there, and the engineers are now taking that data of what's underneath the ground and coming in, fine-tuning the design on the configuration of the reservoir and the cost effectiveness of how much rock to remove and what type of bottom that will be in the reservoir. So that report is done, and it's in the hands of the engineers.
Chief, if depending on the expenditure of the rock and the depth and the procedures that they have to go through, is there a possibility that the lake will be smaller than anticipated, or are we still on scale for?
Well, to make the reservoir viable, it needs to be close to 30 million gallons, give or take. And that was the design criteria. We have a finite geographic area to get our 30 million gallons, and it'll be the depth. And there may be areas in the lake that are higher, where there's rock that we choose not to remove because of the cost with it. And there may be areas that we can go deeper. But 30 million gallons is the design criteria currently, and as we get further along, we'll be able to fine tune that.
Thank you.
So on the FEMA grant, $15 million FEMA grant funding, there's been little to no progress. As you know, the federal government has been struggling with budget and appropriations. They, if you follow the national news, the House and Senate have come together on a funding mechanism going forward. It hasn't been voted on, but of note, there was like $60 billion of discretionary funds that were removed, and part of that is funding of FEMA. So I don't know how to read into that, but we're still in the running, but we still have to wait to see how the federal government pans out. Our Town Hall Visitor Center project, weather delays are holding up the roofing. Without the roof, they can't really proceed much further. It still leaks. We were able to complete the dispatch in the first floor of the police department, so we'll be moving them in this week, getting them out of the trailer, moving dispatch down from upstairs. So then the focus will be to go upstairs and renovate the building and zoning department
Where are they going in the meantime?
in the trailer.
Musical chairs.
The trailer becomes the temporary office. I do want to report to you that the Up to Grove settlement, that was a tree fine, has been resolved. The town has received $11,000 in fines, and that case is complete. The ski loft project, our contractors have begun staging materials. The site across from Town Hall that we're using for the laydown yard, Connex boxes have been placed in there and materials being ordered. The important matter is that April 1st, rain or shine, snow, ice, we're digging. We're going to start. We did, last month I did tell you that we were applying for a second federal brick grant for $15 million. We got the preliminary results from the state last week. We ranked 9th in the state, which is okay. It's not good enough. And we have an opportunity that Steve and Daniel are tweaking our application. We have an ability to answer their questions and improve our score. So that brick grant is moving forward, and we were happy that we were 9th. If you recall, the first brick grant we were 5th. So we'll need to improve on that score a little bit, and that's for $15 million. Our budget retreat is the 25th of this month at 8:30 here in council chambers. Please plan to spend the entire day, and we'll have lunch provided.
And what time does that start?
8:30. So I would like to, with the weather we've had lately, particularly the severe weather, the ice, the snow, the rain, the flooding, and all that, our public works have done a phenomenal job. Those people who've been out night and day, all night, some nights, weekends, holidays, and they've done a really good job with the roads. I don't know if you've been out driving around in some of this bad weather, but the salt is working. They're plowing, and they're keeping things moving in the town. We've had this last 10 days, maybe 14 days, the resort has had record crowds, good. And our public works is to be commended for making the roads safe and travelable for our visitors to get up here. So I did want to say that. And last but not least, goes without saying, there's no water restrictions today. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all I got.
Okay. Item 10, town council comments. Alan?
Yeah, I would like to have the town manager look into the ordinance for the drought water restrictions to try to make them a little bit more fair in terms of how they're implemented. And, you know, we can get into comment on that, but just wanted to see if we can look at going from the way it's tiered right now, that everyone pays when we're into the level 2 or 3 restriction. Chief can probably explain it better than me, but then try to make it more fair so it would be based on usage instead of everyone pays the same amount. So you have people off mountain that aren't even here using water, and they're paying these higher rates. And then those of us that are on the mountain full time that are trying to conserve water and help in those times, that, you know, that we're not all, that everyone has skin in the game, but still that we have some relief for those people that aren't using the water.
Councilmember, the way that ordinance currently works is that as we go into the phase restrictions, not one is voluntary, the base rate as well as the consumption rate goes up exponentially. If we go into phase 5, I believe it's 5 times the monthly rate plus 5 times the usage. And that is arguably designed to enforce or create a need to reduce water. What it does is also, like you said, because everyone pays a base rate each month, if you are not here and you're in Florida for during that period of time and you're not using any water, your monthly rate doubles or triples depending on what phase of restrictions we're in. And we're not conserving any water in that particular meter. So you would like us to take a look at that and scale it so that the people who don't use any water are not charged higher rate penalties
Yes, that would be
to
something.
encourage restrictions?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things on my plate. We all experienced over the holidays, you know, great weather, especially after Christmas. And the ski resort had record attendance. But is there a plan to try to do something about the traffic and, leave it at that? Is there something to do about the traffic or between the resort, the town, the police department, and whatever?
Well, there's no simple answer on
I
this.
know there isn't.
We're well aware of the traffic issues, and our police department actually brings in extra officers to deal with the traffic. We purchase a tow truck to deal with the traffic. We put together ordinances to tow and impound vehicles. However, it's still a function of physics. There's so many vehicles and so many feet or lanes of road. We put in a parking lot, which has done very well during this period. And the resort put in permanent overflow parking. And they coordinate with the police department when to turn the sign on and when to facilitate that overflow parking. With all that said, it still is a traffic nightmare because there are just so many people and we don't have enough real estate to put all the cars. I do understand that there's an issue and it's not, I don't want to minimize it.
No.
It's a lot better than it was. We used to have gridlock on the parkway. We used to have vehicles abandoned on the side of the road on the parkway and people walking to the resort. I think there's more that can be done, but currently the police chief and the resort work hand in hand as that capacity starts to increase and we reach that full capacity and trying to move them elsewhere.
I just noticed that, it almost is that they wait to get full before they start up here. And then you got all those people that went down there, and they're all being turned around to come back to go into the overflow.
Well, you're partially correct. They don't wait to get full. We have a communication between them. They know where they're at, and they pull the trigger. We turn on the sign. As with our other sign, people believe it's not for them. And so they continuously drive down to the resort with the signs telling them that it's full, only to be turned around and come back. And they're angry. Our residents who can't get through are angry. It's not a function of doing it earlier or later. We don't seem to be able to catch the people coming to the resort and getting them into overflow. They want to go on by because they believe they're going to.
They'll find a spot.
The resort is full, and that's a 2-lane road, and turning each car around is difficult, laborious, and argumentative. And that's typically where our police have to be sent to deal with the irate customer of the resort who doesn't feel that they should have turned at the sign.
Yeah.
I don't have a solution for that.
Yeah,
So I was at the entrance last weekend, and a gentleman said that he wanted to drop his kids off. And I looked in his vehicle. I didn't tell you this, Stafford. I looked in his vehicle and he has no children. So, you know, that's just they will go to any means and extremes they think that they're gonna find a parking spot. And, you know, the folks that try to circumvent the system, you know, it jams it up.
I mean, again, we
It's
go
a
on and on.
double-edged sword.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we want the people to get here, but we also want them to have a good experience. Making that round trip is not a good experience, and that's why we're getting into argumentative situations. But it's got, you know, I don't know if there is an answer. There's only one road.
Exactly, and we've asked the resort, and they have responded favorably. They put additional staff on in the parking lot. They staff the intersection up here with a sign. We cooperate and use our traffic signs that we're permitted to use. And we have our police department involved in trying to move the traffic along. It's not ideal, and we're not where we need to be, but it's a whole lot better than it was.
And we're only talking 7 days a year, 8 days a year, you know. I appreciate it's not midweek, it's not every weekend, it's, you know, it's the big weekends and all that. But anyway, thank you.
Well, the police chief Barnett, is well aware of the issues. He staffs up for those weekends. We know that they're going to be. And like I said, we have constant communication with the resort during those peak periods to try and catch the cars before they go down that path.
Thanks.
You know, this won't happen. I mentioned this to Chief Budney a couple weeks ago. It'd be nice if we had a third lane, but we don't have the real estate to do so.
And
But
to
if we had a
wind
third
that
lane,
road,
that, you know, buses would be able to maneuver.
I mean, that's the big thing. The buses get stuck in the traffic, so they can't get back, and it's just a vicious cycle. But anyway, thank you. The other point is, I would like to see some way within the town or the TDA to better police the short-term rentals. And one, getting them registered, and two, collecting the tax. I mean, I'm all over the mountain all the time, and I see, you know, I always wonder if they're paying their tax. And I know, as I explained to Chief the other day, I know of somebody that doesn't, and I've talked to him, and let's see if he registers. But I would bet that a third of the rentals up here are not registered and not paying their taxes. And how can we start to capture that? And how do we go about doing it? Whether we're searching the internet like we're renting ourselves, or I know Michael jots down, I know the sanitation jots down when people all of a sudden are filling the garbage cans. So, but I think we're losing the potential of a lot of revenue from people not following that ordinance. So just a comment.
We paid, the town, I think it was 4 years ago, when we did a study, and we hired a outside marketing firm, and they came in and they scoured through the internet, the VRBOs, the B&Bs, and actually at our EDC mayor, vice mayor meeting yesterday, short-term rentals, STRs came up in the conversation. There was a lawsuit in Wilmington last year where, you know, the town wanted to have tighter controls, and they lost the lawsuit. And they're trying to find different avenues that there can be more teeth on STRs, and it's coming. You know, the best offense is where if you're on the mountain and you see homes that, first of all, have the old trash bins.
The old trash bins, exactly.
And, you know, there's 10 bags of trash that are piled there.
And there's 8 cars in the parking lot.
Yep, you know, and then, you know, give that address to the town. And I'm not saying being a snitch, but, you know, they're getting something for free.
Yeah.
And that's not how the system works, and we do need to clean that up.
I agree.
You know, it's not about making money, it's about what's doing,
Do right,
Doing
because
right.
other people are paying it.
Absolutely.
It's a question to the town manager whether he has the resources to be able to track all that. Because that, now you're talking about resources to, if you report someone, does he have the resources available to him to go out and then enforce that?
Who handles that now?
We do in administration. Rebecca Ward and Kelsey Wise, they handle our STR, they collect the taxes. Let me just explain what we do to try and keep track of that. It's multi-pronged. Kelsey is currently sending letters out to all the known STRs that haven't sent in their safety affidavit. Because of the Wilmington case, we're not permitted by law to have them register. We're not allowed to register or have a database, if you will, of short-term rentals. That was adjudicated, and we can't do that. So we use a safety affidavit to make sure that the STR is safe for the public to use on a short-term basis. That affidavit is required to be sent in annually, and now's the time it's to be done. And Kelsey and Rebecca spend a good portion of their time sending those out, bringing the affidavits in, cataloging those, and making sure that those STRs are up to the safety standards. Next, at the recycling center, if a renter shows up without a tag with a bag of garbage, we used to turn them away, and they were angry. And we had a visitor, the last thing they remember when they left Beach Mountain was we wouldn't take the garbage. So now we take the garbage, as long as they'll tell us the address of where they were renting. That address gets turned in to Rebecca and Kelsey, and they check it off on their safety affidavit list. And then if it's not there, we request a safety affidavit. And by default, Rebecca checks to see if they're paying their taxes. Next are sanitation crews who go down every street in the town twice per week doing sanitation pickups specifically to accommodate the STRs. Those gentlemen know firsthand who's renting and who isn't. Believe me, they know who lives here and who doesn't, and they know what's a rental and what isn't. And they bring a list and turn it in, and we follow that up. And lastly, neighbors. Neighbors that usually don't have a good experience with an STR. On a weekend, they call and they say, hey, I'd like to know, is this address paying their taxes? And Rebecca Ward can check that. So those are the things we're doing. We're not capturing them all, but we're making a dent in it every year. And if you look at our occupancy tax revenues, even in what's deemed a recession, our numbers are increasing. And part of the reason is because we're adding more payers to the list. The economy's still doing well, and we're still having good number of overnight stays, but we're adding more payers to the list that we may not have captured before. So you put all that together, we're probably in the 80% instead of the 66% is what I believe to be. About 5 years ago, the TDA hired a firm. They paid for it to go out and do exactly as the mayor said. That worked well for the first go-round, but it's expensive, and then it doesn't, year 2, 3, and 4, doesn't really return an investment in numbers of new clients. So that I believe the TDA has been looking at doing that every 5 years, and then comparing it to the known tax short-term rental taxpayers.
How is the tax actually collected? I mean, is this the honor system that I rented my house this week, so here's my 6%?
Well, it depends. If you are at VRBO or Airbnb, one of the corporations, they collect the tax and submit it to the town on a monthly basis. If you're doing it yourself, yes, it's on an honor basis, absolutely.
It's very similar to your income tax returns where folks have to voluntarily turn in their forms. However, we do have the authority to audit those books. It's somewhat of a cumbersome and clunky process, but Ms. Ward and I have gone through that process before where we felt we weren't getting complete information from a property owner and can go through and perform an audit of those books. I will add that the League of Municipalities has on their action item some proposed legislation that they'd like to see passed to address some of the shortcomings from the city of Wilmington case. So we're hopeful for some more items in our toolbox to collect the occupancy tax, because it's much easier to collect property tax at this point, but we do have the audit tools and other means available to us.
Thank you.
So does VRBO send a check to the town?
Yes, sir.
Annually, quarterly,
Monthly,
monthly?
I believe.
Yeah. Okay.
And that goes through our tax collector's office, Rebecca Ward, and she keeps track of that, obviously, in our financial system. So we know, the problem with the VRBOs and the Airbnbs is they don't report by address. It's a bulk lump sum, and it's very difficult. It's by design, quite frankly, and it's very difficult for us as a town to identify what property is paying into that bulk payment.
So I'm out of the ball wax.
That's another item that could use a legislative fix, is to make them itemize their returns.
And the folks that are behind it are the Builders Association, correct? And
Partly, yes.
They got a lot of money. And
Yeah.
they do, they spend a lot of time in Raleigh.
Thank you.
Stafford?
First, just want to take a moment and say thank you to all the town employees. We're in week 3 of the third week of 4 weeks of our heavy visitation time up here at the mountain. And it's, I like to call it the 48 days of fun for me. And but everybody has stepped up and has really done a great job making sure roads are maintained, making sure folks are taken care of, parked, helped when they're broken down in the roadways. So first, thank you to all the town staff for that. Second, we went through the consent agenda pretty quick tonight, but I just want to take a moment and, Chief, I'm gonna put you on the spot and ask, how much out of what we approved in budget ordinance amendments, adjustments, is grant funded? And just to kind of give the citizens kind of a quick overview of, I think there's around $8 or $10 million worth of grant funding that came in through what we just approved. And so folks understand it's not our dollars that we pay in taxes paying for some of this stuff.
Well, the gross amount is about $20 million. In the package that you approved tonight, there was $5 million of grant funding that was incorporated, and we showed that as a $4 million grant, and then you reappropriated a $1 million grant that we had used for service lines. We're now reappropriating that. We closed down that ordinance and opened it up to a new one. So to answer your question, tonight it was $5 million of grant.
Right. And I think it's important for the citizens to understand that the employees of the town is doing their best to find funding so that it lessens the burden on us as the taxpayer. And that's all I have for tonight.
And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, that in the past, until, the past year or two, or past year, the town really hasn't gone after many grants. Is that correct?
I don't know. Prior to me being the manager, I don't know. The financial records of the town indicate that the town has never, we've had a $250,000 grant twice, I think, that was reported to me. I've not seen anything over $500,000.
Yeah, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that in the past, we received $1 million from Ray Piggott. Then we got this other $14 million, but I think in the past year and a half, up to that time, the town has never, for whatever reason, they haven't targeted, you know, the funds that have been there. And I think it was when, you know, you sparked some interest when Rep Piggott was able to secure $1 million for the town. And then when we started a relationship with the Haggerty Group, then it started to open up some doors, and we realized there's a lot of funding that's out there. And I asked our North Carolina Senator, Ralph Ives, I'm like, you know, so we got this $14 million, what do we need to do to receive more? And he said, keep asking. So, you know, I think we've found a sweet spot that, you know, I'm not saying a formula, but we found a sweet spot, maybe formula, that, you know, we keep pushing for funds, and, you know, anything's better than nothing.
But, and I think, recognize that for staff, it's hard work to put in for grants. They're not easy to get, and there's a lot of paperwork that has to be done to get those, so, you know, thank y'all for doing that.
Yeah, I think we paid Haggerty Group maybe $120,000 for their services.
You know, we contracted with a not-to-exceed
Not-
price of $125, but we
Okay.
have spent a third of that.
Not bad.
Vice Mayor?
Well, I'm gonna start off with Happy New Year, and I'm
Oh,
with
yeah, oh, yeah.
Stanford on this going. This second week after Christmas was incredible with the amount of people that were up here. I thought it was more than last year. And between Public Works, town employees, resort, it went very well. And the sign that's there on Beach Mountain Parkway from last year where people were parking up and down Charter Hills, and that sign's made a big difference in keeping people off the parkway. So keeping that there is a good thing. Congratulations to the board appointments. You guys are the ones that make us look good. So we trust you to make the right decisions with the town's benefit in mind, and I think we've got some good people on some good boards to make some good decisions. Last but not least, the budget retreat is this month. So we start off with a wish list, and there is nothing that goes off that wish list. So contact us and let us know what your wish list is, so we can bring that to this meeting and start this process of making decisions that are right for the town. I had one other question that kind of jumped out at me when we were talking about working on the roads. Do we have anything on the books about heated driveways?
Yeah, as an ordinance?
Yeah.
No, ma'am.
Nothing, okay. Because there's been a couple of instances of heated driveways pushing water onto pavement, which is then causing possible hazards.
Our driveway and roadway ordinance does address water moving from private property to public property.
Okay.
Regardless of whether it's from a heated driveway or not. If water is coming from a private drive into a town road, the ordinance does address that.
Okay. That's it for me?
Well, not to be dead horse about Public Works, but, you know, you've got some critics that when you want to compliment someone for doing a good job, you know, they say, well, that's their job. They're supposed to do it anyhow. Well, maybe so. And maybe they drive 20, 30 minutes or miles to get up to Beach Mountain. But when you talk to these guys and the services that they are providing, they're in a good mood. And, you know, they're not fussing about the traffic. They're not fussing about the trash. They're not criticizing, you know, specifically, they're not criticizing their job. So hats off to not only Public Works, but law enforcement stays very busy during this time. And I'm sure fuses are short, and I appreciate Chief Barnett, you know, what your team does. As Kelly mentioned, the budget retreat, I think it would be important that if those want to attend the budget retreat, see how we are potentially, you know, going to invest the town's funds rather than us being 6, 7 months into it. I think those that are really interested in it, and those that seems like we have more critics at the end of the process than we do at the beginning of the process. So let's see if we can get some folks involved and get ahead of that curve. I think in the past, Chief, I don't know if we've allowed people to speak, but I think that's maybe something that, I mean, we've got a job to do that we need to do our bucket list, if you will. And then if we have, our residents that want to spend 35 or 40 minutes, it's going to impede on what we need to do. But I would like to discuss with you how much input do we want to have with those that do attend, and we can discuss that later. And I haven't been a big fan of the sledding hill, because you've got the resort that has invested millions and millions of dollars. But for the past 2 weeks, I've made the mistake of going up there on a Saturday and Sunday and gotten hung up in traffic and grit my teeth why I even went up there to look. But it is like ants on a hill. Sledding hill is very, very popular, and it's I hope that those that have businesses on Beach Mountain are reaping some rewards off of it, and I'm kind of leaning a little bit more in favor that this sledding hill is not as bad as what I had originally thought.
Did you go sledding?
I don't think I can find a parking spot.
I was going to say, thank God we got that parking, we're getting all that revenue.
And the other thing is that on EMS's behalf, that's another thing that we don't talk about. And I wanted to have EMS show up today, and maybe they can show up at our next meeting. Those guys don't get enough credit as well. They run so many calls. The EMS that we have stationed here at Station 2, and our, not only our fire department, but our fire department's EMTs. They're running a tremendous amount of calls, and these guys don't get credit where credit's due. So thank you to EMS. Last but not least, we have an out-of-town guest that came maybe 6 miles from here, from Banner Elk, Mr. John Phillips. Thank you for attending our meeting today, and that's all I have. Any questions, comments? You folks have any comments? Okay, I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
Motion.
Second.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.